Miles Wei attacked outside the studio while looking for Shen Yue. His first words shocked everyone. The night had already been heavy with unanswered questions, racing footsteps, and the strange silence that only comes when a threat is still lurking in the shadows. But no one, not the guards, not the staff, not even Shen Yue, imagined that before sunrise another disaster would strike, one that would leave the entire production set trembling in fear. It happened just after 2 in the morning. The studio compound was mostly empty, the kind of quiet that feels wrong, as if something is hiding behind it. Security cameras caught the moment Miles Wei stepped outside the building, phone in hand, calling Shen Yue for the 4th time in a row. She had not answered a single one of his calls since she went home early, shaken from the discovery of the hidden camera buried inside her living room wall. His last message to her had been simple: "I am coming to you. You are not staying alone tonight." But before he even reached the parking lot, something violent, something invisible to the casual eye, unfolded in the farthest corner of the studio yard. Miles had barely taken 2 steps into the dimly lit corridor when a dark shape moved behind him. At first, staff watching the footage thought it was a shadow from a passing truck, until the shadow lunged. The attacker came fast. No warning, no voice, just the sharp, vicious strike of someone with a mission. The first hit landed near the left side of Miles's ribs, a painful, sudden blow that made him stumble forward. The second came toward his shoulder. He tried to dodge, but the angle was too narrow and the attacker too practiced. The cameras caught Miles spinning, trying to see the face beneath the hood. But the attacker was careful, moving like someone who had rehearsed this more than once. Miles, injured but still conscious, shouted a single name, so sharp, so full of fear that the guards sprinted toward the sound before they even saw the attack. Shen. He did not say her full name. He did not need to. The raw panic in that one syllable was enough to echo through the walls of the studio. The attacker bolted the moment the guards appeared, disappearing behind a row of black vans. By the time the security team reached Miles, the hooded figure had already vanished into the night, leaving behind only the memory of cold violence. When they found him, Miles was on the ground, one hand pressed against his ribs, blood seeping through his fingers. His breathing was thin. His eyes were unfocused. But he was conscious.
Barely.
And the first thing he whispered, the thing that made the guards freeze in place, was again the same name.
Shen.
Do not let her go home. Do not let her be alone. One guard knelt beside him, trying to apply pressure to the wound. Miles, what happened? Who did this? Did you see them? He nodded weakly, pain flickering in his eyes. I saw enough, he said. This is the same person who planted the camera. The same person who broke into her apartment. Do not tell her I am hurt. Do not scare her. But fate was cruel. Inside the studio, Shen Yue was still there. She had turned back minutes earlier, unable to shake the feeling that something was wrong. Her hands were still trembling from the earlier shock she had not yet processed. She planned to return a script Miles had forgotten, trying to convince herself that her unease was nothing more than exhaustion. Instead, she stepped into the hallway just as the guards carried his limp body like something fragile and fading. Her breath left her instantly. Where are you taking him? Her voice cracked, raw, louder than she intended. Miles. Miles. Miles, look at me. He opened his eyes in a slow, painful flutter. Then something unbelievable happened. He tried to sit up. Not because he cared about his injuries. Not because he feared the attacker might return. But because he saw her crying. He raised a shaking hand, reaching for her as if touching her mattered more than the agony ripping through his ribs. I told you not to be alone, he whispered. He is not after me. He is after you. The hallway went silent. Only the sound of Shen Yue's uneven breathing filled the space. The sudden weight of those words hit her harder than the attack itself. Miles, stop talking, she pleaded, pressing his hand against her cheek. You are bleeding. Please. But he did not stop. Not when she begged. Not when his vision blurred. Not when his body nearly shut down from shock. He was watching you, Miles said. Inside your home. Inside your hallway. Inside your bedroom. He knows our schedules. He knows every place you hide your fear. This was never about your career. It was never about the drama. It was about you. Miles, please stop, she whispered again. He raised his head slightly, fighting unconsciousness with pure will. If anything happens to you, he said slowly, painfully, I will not forgive myself. Then he collapsed. Shen Yue screamed his name so loudly that half the building came running. The guards called for an ambulance, but she did not wait. She threw her arms around him, held him upright, and refused to let him fall again. Stay awake, she cried. You cannot leave me now. You cannot. But the paramedics arrived too late to hear the last words he said before drifting out of consciousness. The staff heard it though. One sentence. 5 words. The words that sent the entire building into panic and fear. He tried to take her. The ambulance doors slammed shut. Shen Yue climbed inside with him, refusing to sit, refusing to breathe unless he breathed too. Outside the studio, police sirens multiplied, flashing lights reflecting off every wall. Officers began searching the entire block. Every crew member was questioned. Every exit sealed. Every face analyzed. But there was something deeper behind Miles's words, something the police recognized instantly. This attack was not random. It was the next chapter in a chain of dangers that had been escalating for days. The break-in, the stalker footage, the rooftop desperation, the hidden camera, and now an attack. This was not a fan, not a robber, not a stranger. It was someone who knew Shen Yue, someone who had studied her, someone who had followed her long before the cameras started rolling. The officers exchanged looks, the fear clear on their faces. Someone from her past. Someone Miles recognized. Someone bold enough to strike at the studio itself. And if Miles had not gone outside first, if he had not been searching for Shen Yue at that exact moment, the attack might have landed on her instead. Inside the ambulance, she held him tightly, whispering apologies, promises, prayers, anything to keep him tethered to consciousness. Miles, I am here. I am here.
Do not leave me. Not now.
But he did not answer. His breathing grew shallow. His body tilted. His hand slipped from hers. And just before he faded completely, one last whisper escaped his lips, so soft she almost missed it. I would do it again. The ambulance sped through the dark streets. The city lights blurred. Shen Yue stayed bent over him, tears streaming down her face, terrified of the silence growing between each breath he took. This time she knew. This was no accident. This was a war. Miles Wei attacked outside the studio while looking for Shen Yue. The ambulance had barely disappeared into the night when the remaining staff members found themselves frozen in place, staring at the blood on the studio pavement. It did not feel real. Miles Wei was the quiet type, the one who stayed late, kept to himself, and always walked Shen Yue to her car. Seeing him carried away on a stretcher shattered something in the hearts of everyone who witnessed it. But the real storm was still unfolding inside the rushing ambulance. Shen Yue refused to sit down. She held onto the rail with one hand and to Miles with the other. His skin felt cold, far too cold for the amount of adrenaline that should have been in his system. The paramedic tried to guide her aside, but her voice sliced through the cramped space, trembling but unmovable. Do not take me away from him. The paramedic nodded and continued his work. He pressed gauze against the wound on Miles' side, but the blood kept seeping through, dark and frightening. The oxygen mask fogged with every faint breath he took. Miles, she whispered, leaning close. You cannot go silent on me. You told me not to be alone tonight. Then do not leave me alone either. No answer. Her vision blurred. She blinked hard, forcing herself to stay focused. She could not fall apart now. Outside, police cars screamed down the same road, racing behind the ambulance. The attacker had vanished, but the threat had not. Shen Yue sensed it. The same choking fear she felt when the hidden camera was discovered, when her apartment door was found cracked open at midnight, when she stood over Miles's hospital bed days ago, praying he would wake up. Fear was becoming a constant shadow following them. The ambulance jolted over a bump. Miles's fingers twitched. Shen Yue gasped, grabbing his hand instantly. I am here. I am here, look at me. His eyelids fluttered. The smallest groan escaped him. He tried to breathe deeper, but the pain pulled him back down. For a moment, she thought he would come to. But he did not. His body grew heavier, his head tilting to the side. Miles, do not do this to me, she whispered, brushing hair from his forehead. Not after everything we have been through. The paramedic glanced at the monitor and frowned. His blood pressure is dropping. We need to move faster. But the ambulance was already speeding. Shen Yue tightened her grip on Miles's hand. It felt like she was holding on to the only thread keeping him tethered to the world. Miles, listen to me, she said through quiet sobs. I know you were looking for me. I know you were trying to protect me. But you cannot protect me if you are not here. Her voice cracked. A tear fell onto his wrist. You told the guards to keep me safe, she whispered. Who is going to keep you safe? The paramedic suddenly leaned forward. He is fading. We need to prepare for possible loss of consciousness. He is already losing consciousness. Shen Yue snapped, her panic rising like a flood. Do something. We are doing everything we can. Her heartbeat roared in her ears. The ambulance doors burst open when they reached the hospital. Doctors rushed in, pulling Miles out. Shen Yue followed, but halfway through the emergency corridor a nurse stopped her. You cannot come in yet. I am not leaving him. Her voice was thin but unshakable.
You do not understand.
He was attacked because of me. The nurse softened. We will update you the second we know. Shen Yue stood outside the cold steel doors, her back against the wall, her knees trembling. A thin trail of Miles's blood smeared her hand. She stared at it, dazed, unable to believe this was real. Minutes passed. Then 10. Then 20. Police officers arrived, crowding the hallway with clipped voices and urgent questions. When did you last see the attacker? Did Miles say anything before he collapsed? Was anyone following him earlier today? Shen Yue answered them in fragments, her voice barely holding steady. But there was one question she could not answer. Miss Shen, is there anyone from your past who might want to harm you? Anyone who might hold a grudge? Her breath stilled. Images flashed in her mind, a name she had buried, a face she had avoided remembering, a mistake she never thought would return. She swallowed hard. There is someone, she whispered. The officers exchanged looks. Who? Shen Yue shook her head, tears spilling down her cheeks. I cannot say yet. I need to be sure. But inside her chest, she already knew. Someone had crossed a line that could never be uncrossed. A doctor finally emerged from the emergency room. Shen Yue rushed toward him. How is he? She asked, gripping his coat. The doctor exhaled slowly. He lost a lot of blood. He is stable now, but not conscious yet. You may sit with him when we move him to a private room. Her knees nearly buckled in relief. He is alive, she whispered to herself. Thank God he is alive. As the doctor walked away, Shen Yue leaned against the wall, breath shaking, tears falling freely. Then she lifted her head with a look the officers had never seen on her before, a fierce, exhausted, determined expression. He was attacked because of me, she said quietly. So, I will end this before someone ends him. When they finally wheeled Miles into a small recovery room, Shen Yue followed silently, her eyes locked on him. His face was pale, his breathing shallow, but he was still there. She pulled a chair close to the bed and sat down, taking his hand again. Miles, she whispered, I am not leaving this room until you wake up. Her fingers trembled as she brushed the edge of the blanket. And when you do, I will tell you what I should have told you the night you stood on that rooftop shouting my name. She leaned her forehead against the back of his hand. You matter to me, more than anything. Silence filled the room. Machines beeped steadily. And in that stillness, Shen Yue made a silent vow, the kind that changes the direction of a story. She would uncover the truth. She would confront the past she had been running from. She would protect him, no matter what it cost. Because for the first time, she understood something as sharp and painful as the night she almost lost him. Loving someone did not make you weak. It made you ready for war.